Hello, everybody. It's Cinema Dude here today, talking about something I didn't expect to be reviewing, but I ended up doing it just because it's been on my mind. And today we're going to be reviewing the Ted series on Peacock. So without further ado, let's get into it. Seth MacFarlane as a whole, you might know him from three big franchises: American Dad, Family Guy, and of course the Ted movies. If you like the Ted movies, I promise you will like this, but 1,000 times better. No content, no TV series this year. Well, it's 2024 now, so I can say it has really kept me this entertained and laughing. The last show I think that I enjoyed as much as this was probably The Last of Us. And there was a time where I would not shut up about that show because it was just so good. But this right here, I gotta take my hat off for Seth MacFarlane. This was the funniest show ever. I swear it is. This might be the funniest show that I've ever watched. And not only that, but the characters from the start go from such a major change. Now, for the first part of this review, I'll keep it spoiler free. Then I do want to dive into spoilers because there's some funny jokes and there's something crazy that I didn't expect to happen because, well, I didn't expect to be talking about spoilers about a teddy bear show. First off, I want to say if you walked into this show just like, if you go into this show, just have an open mind about all the character arcs. Just don't be like, that character is going to be the one that's going to be so freaking, like, annoying. Because they do something with the characters here to not only make them funny, but some of them have dedicated episodes, and I feel like the family members, which I expected to really just be the thing that held the show back, actually really went for me. I really loved what the family members in here had to offer. Like Susan, for one, Blair, and even the dad. He had his little arc at the end, but he's still an a-hole at the end of the day. But if you've watched the show, you'll know what I'm talking about right now. There's a character, Blair. When she walks on screen, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's the annoying one. That's the one that's like, don't do this, don't do this. But you get to the end of it, and it changes the whole continuity of what you were thinking in your head. I believe, like, by the end of the first episode, they address about this character. I think it's in the first episode where they address something that she's doing that's not very along the lines of what she says. And it even surprises Ted and John. That's another thing. This Mark Wahlberg kid, I have zero trouble believing that he grows up into John in the new movies, because he must have had those first two Teds on repeat and been watching every mannerism of John, because I 100% believe that is John from Ted 1 and Ted 2. And those two movies are hilarious, and this one has the same humor, but Family Guy-ish. And I really love what they've done here. And I believe in one of the episodes, they do there's a lot of 90s pop culture references. And I really like that. And there was one episode where they had an Aladdin joke that really had me laughing. And a Blockbuster joke that I've heard stories of before. And it was just like, so funny. Like, thinking about it, I'm starting to laugh right now. But going back and watching the show, I came in with like very, very low expectations for what this show ended up being, because it ended up being a hidden gem of this year that I highly recommend you watch. Now, going on to the dad, oh, Maddie, he's so racist. It's going to sound like a joke, but there's so many racist moments in this series that really, I don't know, it just comes off so freaking racist. It's all from the dad, though, but by the end of it, they do something with the Ted continuity that makes it better. And I guess I'll talk about the mom real quick. Susan, she is actually a hilarious character. She's like the sweet lady. She's so innocent. She gets used constantly throughout the show. And there was one episode where they actually fleshed her out a little bit, and I really loved what they did with her. now time to talk spoilers for this show. And the reason I was avoiding spoilers is, let me go ahead, because I feel like now I can give my full review. First off, the character of Blair, what happened to her in this series was awesome, in my opinion. So when she first shows up in that opening scene with John and Ted, when Ted's making that joke about midgets and is like being offensive, and she's like, "You cannot say that word. Midget is offensive to little people," and then he says that I'm a little person, and then he makes a joke about the midget community, and it was funny, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be the character that pretty much ruins everything. But then this character talking about derogatory terms, Blair, at the dinner table scene makes for one of the most funny moments of the show, where the dad claims that he's not racist because his favorite movie is Rocky and Apollo Creed's black. And it's just the funniest thing I've ever seen. And just thinking about it now has me like laughing, because you gotta go back and watch it all the way through, because this is the funniest dinner table fight scene. And this also starts like a running joke in the series that I thought was like genius, and it was that Ted and John would constantly like have these bets. Like at the end of the show, when Blair says that she's gay, I remember John hands Ted $5, and at this part of the show, when Susan doesn't say a cuss word, Ted gives John $5, and they constantly had bets throughout the show, and it's like, you're on. And I really loved that. That was a funny running joke that, in my opinion, saved the whole show. And there's like, Blair is a character. I'm going to go ahead and get on this topic because I already mentioned the fact that later in the show they do that twist with her. But the thing that actually made me have confidence in her character was in the first episode when Ted and John are about to go buy weed. He goes to the dealer that one chick gave her. I don't remember. She had the name of like her dead mother, and she kicked Ted out of her apartment. But that where he goes into the apartment and it's Blair who's selling the weed. That was a very, very funny moment in my opinion. The fact that like they not only was it funny, but it also showed us a difference in the character, because by the end there's a scene where Ted, John, and Blair are all sitting together smoking some pot, and she just goes on this crazy adventure as a character throughout it. And I really loved what they did with her, because she went from a character that I was dreading watching, but I believe it was the episode where Ted had to carpool with her. He had to drive her because she was going to get drunk because she was going to a party. And that episode alone really just turned it around for me, like with her, because I really ended up liking that character. Another thing, this introduced a new toy that came to life, which actually shocked me, and it was a closeted right-wing dump truck. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I just thinking of just the idea of like they're gonna bring one to life, like when its first words were said, oh my god, this is gonna be so funny. And there's even a scene where the whole family is sitting at the dinner table, and the dump truck says this.
Hey, Maddie, a Jew, a Polak, and a black guy walk into a bar.
Okay, I can only show the voice clip because I cannot show that whole scene. It's just too ridiculous. This dump truck is just a menace throughout it. And that wasn't like the only funny thing. Like, I found myself laughing when this dump truck was kind of going through its character arc. Like, there's a scene where the dump truck is like talking, and he's fighting Maddie because he's trying to he's letting Blair live back in because she was gay, right? So the dump truck rolls up to Maddie's face and goes, "I have thoughts. Thoughts of what? Thoughts of men. And it was just so ridiculous. That was the one joke in the show that was like a joke, but also moving forward in character, that I just could not. I was laughing for like 30, just thinking about it. Just the way he just said it to his face. And this dump truck, when it finally rides off, it just says something so out of pocket and crazy that I was laughing so hard at. Like, the fact that, whoever, Seth MacFarlane was a genius. The CGI on the living toys, like the dump truck and Ted, were the funniest things about the show, the CGI. And I really feel like after we get a season 2 of the show, we need a Ted 3. We need a Ted 3 with Blair, and we need this dump truck to show. Dennis, I think it is. I think he's voiced by the same guy who voices the dad, because I remember being so surprised because they didn't make it very obvious that they were going to bring him to life. But like one morning he woke up and he's like, "You wish me to life, face," and then the show just progresses with that toy dump truck. But I want to get this out of the way. The Clive character, the classic bully that we're going to pull in all of our shows. I love how they didn't underuse him or overuse him. Only put him in the show when they needed him. I think he was only in there for like 4 episodes, honestly. Like, there is a scene where they call him, and they find out that his dad left, and they call him and they make him wear a sailor suit. You feel bad for the school bully because they actually like accomplished something. They make him wear a sailor suit, and then they have the waiters deliver him a message at this diner because they like trick him into going in, and it says, "I like my Korean stepkids better than you. I'm not coming to see you." And the bully just starts crying, and those two actually feel bad for it. And there's a whole running joke that they're trying to be accomplished, like as Clive's father. And well, it's just that's just a weird subplot that I thought was funny, but also a little underused. I felt like the corn episode, is it? The corn with a C. I'm not gonna say the actual word. Where they go to the Blockbuster and they need it. My favorite part of the whole show is when Susan comes home from that date that the only reason Maddie brought her on was so he could get money. And that was hinting towards what the next couple of episodes would do, is give Susan more time to shine and make her step up for herself. She comes home and turns on the TV because a corno got stuck in the VCR. So she turns on the TV, and all you hear is moans, and you see her face drop, and it's like one of the funniest jokes in the entire show. And I did not expect it to be as good as it was, especially when a show has a joke like that. Like, I honestly, and there's also jokes that aren't even like really dirty. And it's like the scene where before Dennis comes to life, Maddie's playing with the dump truck, and Ted's like, "I want to try, that looks fun." He's like, "No, aw." I don't know, it's just so ridiculous. There's a whole sequence in the show, or like, I believe a whole couple of episodes where Ted thinks he's Jesus. And they eventually find out he's not, because Sarah's like, "You know he got crucified, right?" And he's like, "Oh my God." And oh my God. And then they think Dennis is Jesus. The whole Ted and Jesus subplot is slightly offensive. Like, there's a scene in the church where Susan's singing her solo, and he starts talking out loud to the priest saying that he's Jesus. And it's just like, and then they're singing Silent Night, and it's Holy infant, so tender and mild. And they're like, "Somebody's eating this kid. How do you do tender and mild to a kid?" And there's just jokes like that. So I'd say beware about that. But other than that, I really love this show. And The theme song, so good. This show had me laughing. Good way to start off 2024 as far as series go. And it's the most watched show on Peacock, which is pretty good. So, yeah. That's my little review on the Ted Show. Very surprised. I'll give it a 10 out of 10 for sure. It was amazing. I need a season 2, Seth MacFarlane.